Hello, folks. Welcome back to Learn Synthesis with VCV Rack. I'm your host, Dr. Lawrence W. Moore. And in this episode, we're continuing to look at the free set of modules under the brand name Shebang for VCV Rack. And in this episode, we'll specifically look at Neutrinode. This cool piece of creative engineering is deserving of its own episode, and I think you'll really enjoy this. So without further ado, let's get on. Okay, so what I have set up here is a Neutrinode module that I'll be going over. I have, which is fast becoming regulars on my episodes, the macro oscillators from Audible Instruments. I have 4 of them, each set to a different sound. Each one has its own ADSR envelope. And then they're all patched into the 4-channel mixer from VCV right here. And each envelope is governing their audio outs before going into the audio output. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I'm going to do the zoom in and scroll over. Maybe zoom out one more. There we go. Okay. So this is a node-based controller, I guess you would say, kind of like a sequencer, but it's graphical in nature. We do have a start button or a play button right up here to get going. It does have BPM speed controls. I usually like to just right click on the dial and type in a BPM like 120 or something. It does have here some movement control, which we'll be looking at later as we get on with it, and a speed that governs that movement control. You can select, you can use this with percussion and non-pitched sounds, but it's more effective when you're using it with pitch sounds, because as you see here, you can set a tonic and a mode, like major, minor, Phrygian. See, was Dorian there? To be. Sometimes when you drag and try to turn the knob, there we go, we could get to Dorian. C Dorian, how about that? For example, we'll be in that. And then I'll be talking about the position and size option here as soon as we make our first node. And to do that, sorry if the cables are obscuring them a bit, but there's a red, cyan, blue, and purple button. Each one has its own set of triggers and pitch control, volts per octave. So each one has those outputs, and I have them hooked up in order. Red being whatever you want to call that sound. We'll be hearing that first. Cyan to this sound here, which is one of the formant sounds in the macro oscillator. A vowel sound here. And lastly, but not leastly, the VFOF. So anyway, let's turn on our first node. I'm going to click the red button. And we have our first node here. Now, normally when you call up this module, it'll have some nodes already laid out for you. I guess they're kind of random. So I thought the best way to introduce it would be just to make them as I go. So we have a node here. This would be called like a generator node. and it's basically got its own assignments for a trigger and and pitch. So in order to get going, you need to click somewhere in this space and make a node. So I guess I should use the term generator and node. At least that's the terminology I'm used to from Nodebeat, the software for Android and iPhone or iOS. You know, it could be phone or an iPad. Good software. Last I remember, I think it was only $2.99, and it's cool software for composing like this. But in any case, I'll use that terminology. So we have our generator that's red. We made a node here. Now, the node, as you see, gets sent from the generator a stimulation to play. And when it plays, you know, you can see the little like neutrino getting shot at it. When it hits it, it executes the trigger and plays the sound. Now, for some sounds using the macro oscillator that are percussive, you need to hook it up to the trigger inlet here in order to trigger the sound. But these are actual sounds that don't need to be triggered to turn on, but their gates for their corresponding ADSRs are hooked up, and the output for the gate of this one goes to channel 1 of the mixer, and its envelope is governing it here, right here. Okay, so that's how that's set up. You could, of course, use, as you get used to it, all sorts of different types of sounds. Now, what pitch does it play? Since you see it has a pitch out. Well, that's based on your setting here. If I toggle this down to size, the size of the node, actual graphical size, will determine its pitch that it plays within the mode that you select. Okay, C Dorian. If you want to change octaves of what's being played, yeah, I know some of the shebang stuff has octave and scaling options, but this does not appear to have it. So what you would do, like if I wanted this to be a lower tone, I would take my coarse frequency knob here, and for example, it's set to 0. Now, this is different. Some of the modules in VCV Rack are set to different parameters. You notice at the beginning of the series I was using some of the VCV modules, and to set them to their normal setting or their normal octave range, you would put in middle C, which is 261.63 hertz, I believe, or you hit initialize, it goes to whatever that is. But this is a different range, and I think these are actual volts per octave ranges. So if I want to go down an octave, I think -1. And then 2 octaves, -2. There's not much sustain to the sound, so it's hard for me to be quite sure here. We work with its envelope a bit, because we are actually getting a trigger here. And what's lighting up a little bit briefly, the decay time, but a trigger message is basically like do it, and it's not like the on off like a gate, but you can, with your envelope, shape it a bit. I'll be zooming out soon. I just need to be able to see this to be sure. Actually, this seems to be more like semitones. So let me initialize and just do it by ear. Another thing we can do is use our friend Frank's suggestion from early on in the series. We could put in Oct, which is from the VCV set of modules. If you install all the free VCV modules, you'll get it. So now we're just hearing the execution of this thing's normal pitch, independent of the C Dorian mode that we selected. But here, now we can be sure we'll get precise octaves. We could try to change the tone of this a little bit. Okay, there we go. Let's go with that for red. Like that'll be kind of like our kick drum, so to speak. Oh, we do have oct here. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, let's do this. Let's use Neutrinode's oct. Of course, I threw things really out of whack by adjusting that. But here, let's try it. -3. There we go. Cool beans. I always get there in the end, folks. All right, so now the position or the step within the mode that we have selected here is determined by size. Now, the one thing that seems to be a drawback about determining by size, when you make a new node, you don't really get to pick your size. It seems to be somewhat random. So what I like to do, and I've tried a bunch of different keystrokes and mouse combinations trying to see what I could do. I like to switch it to position, where down is lower in pitch and up is higher in pitch. So let me get rid of this. So we're here, and you know what? I'm going to initialize this again. This is bending it too much. We can just simply go here, right click on this, and how about -4? All right, yeah, there we go. I like that. So now here, it's not sounding quite Dorian to me, unless we're not starting on C all the way at the bottom. I mean, this is probably C right here, because I'm hearing like a major second, then minor second, like the lower third of the Dorian mode, right about there. And this is kind of like halfway up, so I guess that makes sense. Now, the thing is, you can get to a point where it's too far away from the generator that you don't hear sound. This should be a half step here. Yeah, there it is. But it's hard to tell position of pitch here. It'd be nice if there was a grid work that you could see. But as you see, I'm able to determine where I'm at pretty much by ear. I think that would be C in C Dorian, right there. I felt like a tendency to go down here, but that was a major mode tendency. Okay, so anyway, let's say we're there and we want to, I mean, in many ways, you can just draw pictures and place nodes around and not worry about pitch, just move things around until things sound cool, you know? It actually can be done like that. But let's see here. And I believe there, you could stop and press play to kind of reset it. Because as you make nodes, you might throw off the timing a little bit. Although, yeah, like I said, this in many ways is meant to be something where you just kind of make pictures and draw stuff and listen to what cool sounds you get out of it. So let's add our second sound here by turning on cyan. I'm going to turn off red temporarily. As you see, it's not close enough to this node to establish a connection. But that's fine. I mean, having some of these share some nodes and not others is pretty cool. And let's put this one in a higher octave. There we go. And we'll put our red node back in, or generator. Let's stop it and start it over. If you click trying to hit a node and don't click right on it, you'll make a new node. Like I did right there. Yeah, let's make a little bit of a... And when you want to get rid of a node, don't press delete, because that'll delete the whole module. Just grab it and pull it off screen out of the viewable area. It deletes it. Didn't need to make one. Okay, let's add another one. Let's live dangerously here. I need to extend its envelope to be able to Okay, and we'll add our last one. Let me extend its envelope a little bit. It's definitely a different way of thinking about music. Let's turn down this last one in level. Okay, now, if you want to go crazy, you can click move and then look out. And you can adjust the speed. The slower, the more coherence you'll have in the unfolding, somewhat randomized music. But even while they're moving, you can make decisions to say, I want you closer. Let's try a different mode here. Alright, so as you see, you can have a lot of fun with this. And what I'm going to do is kind of like call up a piece that I was playing around with. This one I just kind of put together on the fly here. So I'm going to save this as see here. Episode 9. Then I'm going to open up another one that I worked on. That sounds better than this. Okay, so I saved that. Let's open up the one that I had done before. I kind of dig it. Excuse the second mouse cursor when I sometimes zoom in. Synthing by the stream. This is kind of like a piece in progress. Get some different sounds here, and I'm going to slowly pull in some. Yeah, I should fade it out with the main fader here when I want to bring it to an end. Well, anyway, as I said, it's a piece in progress. But in any case, yeah, you can do all sorts of different things with this Neutrinode. I think it's pretty cool. At least work out some interesting ideas. You know, the more you play with it, the more you get to know it, and the more you can use your sounds in interesting ways and stuff. So anyway, if you felt you got some benefit out of this episode, please hit the like button. Let me know in the comment section what you think of the module. Have any ideas for it, or if you make some music with it, let me know. And please like, share, subscribe, whatever you can do to help the channel grow. And until next time, take care and stay free.